Hey guys, I am Joel Gandara,
I'm Jessica Gandara.
my wife, and we're doing something a little different. We're creating a series about parenting. And the reason this came about, so this is part one, and the reason this came about is because in a coaching group where I lead some men, we put an evening together, a Zoom call that we did, and we invited, I think it was 60 guys with their spouses. Some watched it live, some watched the video later. And a lot of the feedback over the day or two after we did it was, hey, can you either do more of this or can I share this video and can you put it on YouTube? And I said, let's redo it. That was our first attempt. We didn't build it for sharing it with a wide audience. Let's do it again. We're going to answer some questions, but I asked those same people, give me unique questions, because we just fired off the things that we do and best practices for us. But now we said, give us a list of questions. We got a bunch of questions. And today we are going to answer 4 of those. Before I say any more, if you're on my YouTube channel, you probably know a little bit about me. Here's Jessica, and I'll let her introduce herself and us.
So I'm Jessica Gandara. Joel and I have been married for, it's going to be 21 years in June. And we have 4 kids. That doesn't make us experts by no means. We are learning every single day how to deal with kids and in all different phases, from teenagers, our oldest is 17, to young ones who our youngest is 9. So we're still learning, and we preface this whole thing by saying we're definitely not experts, and maybe some of the things that we'll say in this series you don't agree with, and that's okay. This is just what's worked for us.
Well, I'll preface it by saying, sure, we're no experts, but we're pretty damn good. We see what's out there, we see how families operate, and we see how we operate, and we find that we're pretty good.
We have some great kids.
Yeah, and our kids are pretty good. And we think that's by design because we could see them going off the path, and we positively get them back on the path, and the results are there. They do pretty well. You know, one of the moments that we're so proud of, we have a lot of proud moments, but and none of this is really planned. We're going to answer the 4 questions, I promise. But just the thought that came up, we were in Sarasota, Florida, or somewhere around there, Tampa, Florida, one time, years ago. Back then we only had 2 kids, 2 little boys, sitting outside. It was pretty hot out. They were dressed nicely. We sat at this restaurant. There were only kids in the restaurant, out by the water. I was actually taking clients to dinner, Jessica and I, and we brought our 2 kids. We thought that was crazy, but
I believe they were like 5 and 3 or 5 and
4.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we sat at this dinner for over an hour with 2 of our clients. We talked business the entire time, and these 2 boys talked with them, answered all their questions.
No tablet, no
we don't have any of that.
None of that.
And they talked to the adults, not just to us, but to those, and they looked them in the eye. They were 5 and 4 years old, I think. At most, they were 5 and 6, at most. And those clients of ours said, your kids are amazing. This is absolutely amazing. And then when we got up and started walking out, it was 2 tables that talked to us, 2 full tables full of adults. The first one said, we want to commend you. We were watching and we couldn't believe that those kids sat there and behaved the way they did and communicated with everybody the way they did and looked the way they did. Their little shirts were tucked in. They looked fantastic. And that was the first table. And we, as proud parents, we felt fantastic. We told the boy, look what you guys did. Good job. And we keep walking. Do you remember what happened the next table?
They started clapping.
The entire table just clapped and said, you boys are amazing. They congratulated us. And that's probably one of the first times that we started saying, I think we're doing something pretty good. Let's keep this up and let's keep improving. All right, I could talk all day. Jessica, what is the first question?
So the first question was, how do you raise children in a wealthy family while still instilling integrity and work ethic into them?
Okay. So when we started out, first of all, neither of us grew up with money. I definitely grew up very poor, so I use that as a reminder to the kids. I remind them where I came from. I say, this could happen again. You could lose everything. So nothing's guaranteed, right? We have those type of conversations all the time. It's not that hold on, the question again is, how do you keep them from becoming...
Well, how do you raise children in a wealthy family while still instilling integrity and work ethic?
Yeah, so we don't want them to feel like we're handing things to them, right?
We definitely live below our means. We're very blessed. We worked very hard and we've sacrificed. And although we can afford things, really nice, expensive things, we don't dote on that. We rather spend our money on experiences and things like that. And so the kids don't have like name brand things. I was going to say, I don't either. So we've always lived below our means. Our kids never saw us kind of like go on this spree, this spending spree or anything like that. And they have their friends who have other name brand stuff, and they're okay with it. They rather, use that our family money for experiences and things like that.
And not only that, we tell them all the time in our conversations. That's why at the beginning I said it's all about the conversations that we have. We say, yes, we could buy this certain thing, but then that's going to leave us in a position that I don't know about the future. If we kept doing that, if we kept buying these things, what's going to happen in the future? What if the business cuts down? What if we're not making as much money? Then we're going to have all these expensive things that have lost a lot of value, and what good are they? And then we're going to be stressed out. Then we're going to have to work extra. We're going to kill ourselves over work.
Remember when we moved here, when you were riding bike with the boys, what was the conversation?
Yeah, so we moved into our home that we live in now. We've been here for 9 years. And at the time, we had 2 elementary school boys and 2 little kids, little babies. And we bought what for us was a stretch, and a very expensive house, we thought. And Jessica and I had cruised the neighborhood. We've driven, we jogged it, we'd ridden bikes. And one day, it was summertime, we've been here a couple months at the time, and it was middle of the day in the summer, and I'm riding with our 2 oldest boys' bike, and we go a few blocks down within our same community, and there were some very expensive homes. Like I thought ours was something else just because neither of us ever lived in a home like this. But those put ours to shame. Ours looked like a shack compared to these mega mansions and absolutely gorgeous on a golf course. We're not on a golf course. We're not on the water.
We don't have a mansion.
We don't have a mansion. But those were just celebrity homes. And when we go down that street, my boys start saying, it was just them 2 and I. And they started saying, oh, wow, whoa, look at it. They were just going crazy over these homes. And then they said, why didn't we buy a house in here? As if it was just that easy. Oh, yeah, I'll buy one of these. And I explained to them, as we're riding by through these amazing homes, I said, I think I maybe could have qualified for a mortgage, and we could have bought a house in here. And I could have made the monthly payments. But I'll tell you what, if we would have done that, we'd be up to here. And I'd be so stressed out about these massive payments I'd have to make every month. For what? To live in a bigger house? We have 5 bedrooms.
But most importantly, you wouldn't be there riding bikes.
Yeah, so that's the next thing. I said, so if I was that stressed out and I was working that much to make the payments and, what else we'd have to pay. I told them, because look, to have a house like that, the electricity is more because the air conditioning is more. We live in the heat in South Florida. To clean that house, we definitely can. We probably have 2 people to have to clean that house. And everything's just more. The property taxes, everything costs more money. And I said, and I'll tell you what, since we've been riding bike for the last half hour in the neighborhood, have you guys seen any dads? And they said, no, we haven't seen any dads. And I said, if I bought that house, I would be so overworked that I wouldn't be here in the middle of the day, middle of summer, spending the entire day. When we're done riding bike, we're going to the park. So I could do it. Maybe we could buy a house like that, but something's got to give. And both of them instantly said, no, we like our house. We'd rather it this way. And that was just confirmation at a point when they can finally speak about things and understand them well, early in elementary school, where it confirmed that I think we're doing the right thing. Because the opposite would be what? Go all out, go crazy on spending money, teach them that, and let them believe that that's what's most important. And then guess what? We're on our deathbed, and we're looking back at our life, and we say, yeah, because I don't know how many people are on their deathbed saying, oh, I should have bought that $5 million home, and I could have worked more. It's the opposite. People are saying, I shouldn't have worried so much about money. I shouldn't have stressed out about that. I should have worked less, and I should have been with my family. We were in our 30s, and we were already spending a ton of time with our kids, a lot. So anything else on that one?
Creating hunger, that's kind of something that we like to do with our kids. Like I said, we like to live below our means. So they always have, and their kids, they see other kids with some nice stuff, and they want that stuff themselves. My little one, just an example, this week, he wanted a basketball video game. And I said, well, he has money in the bank because they're all entrepreneurs, which we'll get to at some point in this series. But he has money in the bank, and he immediately said, I've been saving all my money, but I really, really want this game. And it was $20. And I said, okay, well, you have the money, so if you want to spend it, you can spend it on that. So he bought it with his $20, super excited, thanked me maybe like 50 times. It's not my money.
It was his money, and he's thanking us for giving him such an opportunity.
Yeah, he couldn't believe that we allowed him to buy this video game for spending his own money. But he's taking care of the game. He's making sure it's put away. It's his. He's taking pride in it. He had that hunger for that game. He bought it, and now he has like this ownership over it. He has this, I don't know, but I think it would have been different had I just bought it for him through Amazon, whatever, and just turned it in. He wouldn't really be as appreciative.
And I believe it's a game that's already older, right? It's it's not a brand new. He paid $20 for it. He probably bought it used, I'm sure, online. But because we keep it simple, we keep everything basic. They don't even have many video games. It's an old system that they bought used off a friend. The older brothers bought it, and then he wanted to get a game. They hardly have any games. They don't even play that much. This one they're playing this week because it's a school basketball game that they're really into, and it's new, so they'll get over it. But yeah, we keep it very simple. I like to think that, because I hear a lot of parents say, oh, it was so much better in the 80s and 90s. That was a childhood. But then those same parents who I hear say that hand over a tablet to their kids at a restaurant.
Correct.
And don't talk to their kids. We have been to restaurants where all four, 2 parents and 2 kids, are all like this the entire meal. In our table,
it's actually a thing. When we go out to dinner, we're like, look over there, and my kids will be like, oh my God, they haven't moved for the last few minutes, and then we're looking around. It's
a
sad.
game. Our
sad.
Little kids tell us, look at that family. They'll point it out and say, they haven't spoken to each other. They don't even talk to each other. And we say, what do you guys think is better? Because we're all communicating, we're looking at each other in the eyes. We're developing great adults that are going to be able to communicate. They already communicate better than most adults, I think. But that's what we decide to do. It's not just, so anyway, that was the point. You say you like the 80s and the 90s. I see there's Facebook groups about 80s and 90s, they were the best. But yet those people who believe that don't do that for their children. It's the same thing, and we'll get into a lot of topics in another time. I know very healthy parents. Right? We know people who are very healthy, and then we see what their kids eat. Why would you set them up? You know what to do. Obviously, look at you. Look how great you look. And then you set up your kids for disaster. So we know what's better. We know what's more important for our kids. Is it expensive toys or the other things that we focus on, and that's what we think is better. And there's one more point on that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Instilling entrepreneurship. Like I said, all our kids are entrepreneurs. Well, you want to expand on?
Sure. So I got 100 stories about why they're entrepreneurs, and I'm just going to keep it real simple for this one because it's about keeping them appreciative and not feeling like they deserve everything. When you earn something, I'll give you one example. My dad gave me a very old, not so great car, but it's all he had, and he gave me that when I was maybe a junior or senior in high school. It lasted a few months before I didn't take care of it, and it got ruined. I don't know if you know this, but I got an old Hyundai Excel, the first year Hyundais. They were 1986, I think, and this is into the 90s. The car was 7 or 8 years old, and I don't know if I changed that oil. I just drove it and drove it and drove it, but guess why? Because maybe it was only worth $1,000 car, but my dad gave it to me. I didn't feel it, and I didn't take care of it. Guess what? The next car, I bought a 1980 car in 1994. It was already an old beat-up car, but it was in good condition, and I bought it for $1,000. That car lasted me 3 years, and I kept it in such great condition that when I sold it, I got $500 for it. So for 3 years, that's 1980 Plymouth Sapporo, little stick shift 2-door. I kept that car in such good condition that I got almost what I paid for it 3 years later after using it like crazy. Why? Because I paid for it. So our kids don't get an allowance. We don't just hand them money. We do have a few chores that if they do, they will get paid for, but it's very simple. That's nothing. It's just the principle of it. What they do is they make money, and they make a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars in the bank as kids, because they earn it, and we teach them how to make money, and then they go and do all the work themselves. We don't force them to do it at all, and the money is 100% theirs.
This is not birthday money, by the way.
No.
This is earned, hustle money.
Yeah, and when a kid works that hard when they're young, for life, now they know how to work, they know how to take rejection in sales, they know how to make change, they know how to have conversations, but they know the value of a dollar. Our kids have known the value of a dollar probably since about the age of 6. Mm-hmm. That's about when each one of them, we inject them with those lessons, and it has paid off already. All right, go ahead.
Okay, next question. Is there a good time to have kids? My partner would be ready, but I feel like I need to be financially free first.
All
I don't
right.
think you're ever ready to have kids. I don't know.
So we got married
Oof.
at 26 and 21, and we weren't ready for kids. And then we kept saying, okay, we're going to graduate college, and we did. I was very late to graduate. I was building a business. It took me 10 years to earn a bachelor. She did it pretty quickly in nursing school, and both earned a bachelor's. And then we said, wait, maybe we're not ready now. We both have jobs. I got this little business. You've got a nursing job. Maybe we're ready. No, maybe she needs a master's in nursing. Remember, we said maybe after that. And then if I could build the business a certain amount or go back and get an MBA, maybe then we'll be ready. And we just kept saying this, and it was actually your mom, I think, I remember this. She said, you're never going to be ready. There's never like a moment where you're exactly ready. And I thought, oh, maybe we just do it. We owned a condo, right? We had a condo, so we had a low mortgage. We had a simple life, 2 simple little cars, no car payments. And we say, is it money? How expensive is a kid? And I remember my brother had a kid. That was my nephew. That's the only thing I knew. And I asked him once, hey, is it really crazy, scary, expensive to have a kid? And he said, not at all. You buy formula and you buy diapers. That's pretty much it. You buy some little clothes. And I thought, okay, that's the opposite of what everybody tells me. So the financial part, right? You can talk about.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we don't buy name brand stuff, so I have shopped even still. I've gone to Walmart and bought the kids' clothes. I don't have to go to name brand stores to buy my kids' clothes. It doesn't have to be expensive. You know, birthday parties. I can tell you we had a birthday party one year for one of our sons. The main attraction at this birthday party were boxes, empty boxes. It was a themed party.
Angry Birds.
Angry Birds.
So we had like...
We painted faces on these boxes.
It was like the Angry Birds video game where you use a huge
you had to,
slingshot,
like, a slingshot and
you knock the boxes over.
So
Nobody cared about.
We had a bounce house. That was like the biggest thing, is we hadn't ever gotten a bounce house for a party before. So we had the bounce house there, big old beautiful bounce house. No one used the bounce house. Everybody wanted to knock down these boxes. These
just
empty
kick them.
Amazon type boxes. That was it.
Remember the kids were just throwing empty boxes and
but
having that
too.
time. Yeah,
the adults were helping the kids, and it was crazy.
They had a fight with like 50 empty built cardboard boxes, and everybody said this was the greatest party. This was so fun.
It was nuts.
We had empty cardboard boxes. These are all lessons that for us is like, kids will play with empty boxes.
Yeah.
Our kids literally, if anything big gets delivered to our house,
we can't throw out the box.
The box is the attraction for a week.
It becomes a hotel. It becomes a rocket ship. It becomes a lemonade stand.
A car.
Anything. It's crazy.
They paint it on the outside. And they go
it doesn't have to be expensive.
So if that's what the question's about being ready, if you're ready emotionally,
financially ready.
Financially, good. Yeah, so we're sticking to that part. There's a lot of parts of being ready. Jessica reminded me right before we got on here that, so we were in a building stage. You're always in different stages in your life, and we were in a serious building stage. Jessica was working full-time overnight in the hospital, and I had 2 little guys. We had 2 boys at the time only, and they were both in diapers. It was a rough time. Really,
I was working night shift.
She was working night shift over the weekends, and I was with the 2 kids during the weekend, working all week, 10, 12 hours a day, and then on the weekend with the kids. And as soon as they would take a nap, I could get back to work on the weekend and work more. So something would happen. Jessica would get off work.
I would get home around 8 in the morning and try to sleep so I can get enough rest for the next shift that night.
These are 12-and-a-half-hour shifts you were doing.
And he would have to leave the house with the 2 boys, entertain them, so I can take a few hours of a nap.
2 boys in diapers, a man. I had never even changed a diaper. Now I had 2 boys in diapers. They're 18 months apart. And I'll tell you what one of our most favorite activity was. First of all, they were so little, they don't remember any of this. Because I bring it up to them, and they say, I don't remember this at all. But I can tell you they had a blast. We didn't have a lot of money, and the little bit we did, we had to invest it and build my business that I was building at the time. And what I started doing, is I'd take them to breakfast. We'd go to like Denny's or something like that in the morning. And then the next thing was Toys R Us. And guess how much money I spent in my history of maybe a full year or 2 of taking them to Toys R Us every weekend? 0. I didn't spend any money. These kids would laugh. They'd go crazy, running,
Play with everything.
play with everything. And by the way, I just want to be clear. When I was in high school, I worked at KB Toys, a toy store in the malls. And parents would unleash the kids in the store, and the kids would just knock toys to the floor. And my job for 8-hour shifts on the weekend when I was 16 years old was to pick up every toy. And when I finished with that aisle, I'd go down the next aisle. When I finished with that, and I'd just do that for 8 hours of picking up. My kids didn't make a mess. I just want to be clear right now. They weren't knocking toys. I was supervising. We'd get the little tricycles, and they'd ride tricycles. That's where they learned to ride a tricycle. Get a soccer ball and kick it around. We'd go so early, the employees didn't care. Nobody was there. We were always the first ones there because I'd have to get out of the house so early. We walked in as they opened. And I'm telling you, it was a blast for them. I could have spent $30 every single time we walked in there. They had a train station, a Lego area that we played with the trains. We did all of that. That's because that's the position we were in. We couldn't spend the money. We had to be very responsible at that time, even more than we are now. But see, that didn't cost us anything. And maybe they don't have the memories, but if I would have bought them the money, there wouldn't be any memories either. That'd be a toy that's thrown away 6 months later. Trust me, they all get thrown away or donated. So, yeah, as far as money, right?
Yeah.
That pretty much covers it. Diapers and formula are expensive. Try to give breast milk, which is way healthier and free.
Okay, next question. How has your parenting style evolved from your first to your youngest?
I got thoughts. What do you got?
I can tell you it went from like paranoia all the way to our fourth child, which is completely lax. Very different, night and day. Your first child is your guinea pig, and you're scared, and you don't want to get anything wrong. You want to make everything right. And yeah, we boiled everything, sterilized everything. It was pretty exhausting. And with our fourth child, poor thing, anything that would fall on the floor, it's like,
He'll survive.
Immunities. It's good immunities.
He's eating dirt in the backyard. That's fine. Nobody dies from a little dirt. Yeah, in the beginning, you're so paranoid. You think everything has to be so perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. It could be good. What else? So our older kids today, they're in high school, they say that our younger kids who are in elementary school
have it much easier.
Have it way easier. That we're different parents. That we're super easy on them. I don't know if we're super.
No, I don't say we're super easy on them. I
disciplined.
believe that we're different, that we were harder on them. Maybe, like I said, we didn't know what we were doing. They were our guinea pigs. So what we learned, the lessons that we learned through them, we've applied it to our little ones. So we now like, oh, we don't need to overreact with this because we can just do this. Whatever, something like that. So yeah, I think in essence, it's true. We're, I don't want to say softer with the younger ones, but we're just wiser.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, wiser. Also, we didn't have guidance. We didn't have parenting coaches. We didn't have parenting mentors we could go to, really, right?
No.
It was just us.
Wing it.
Yeah, you wing it. But yeah, I'll tell you something that is funny. It happens with age, maybe. I got the sandal or the belt or the spanking a lot. And maybe I deserved all of them. I don't know. Maybe not. Okay. When my kids have ever done anything bad and my parents are visiting and I get up to go attend to what they're doing bad, ever since they were little, the first thing they say, don't hit them. Make sure you don't hit them. The first time they said that, I go, what? Don't hit them. This is all you ever did. So as you get older, from a stressed out parent to a grandparent, something changes. So maybe even, because we've had the opportunity to do sort of an experiment. We had 2 kids back to back, and then they started growing up, and we had over 5 years pass by with no more kids. We thought 2 was it. And then we had the opportunity to have more kids, and then we had 2 more, and they were back to back. So we got this experiment of we're in 2 different positions in our life. It's almost like a lifetime ago, that first set of little babies compared to the second set now.
Well, and with that, the first set we were building, like you were saying, our future. So we were very stressed out. We were saving everything. I mean, sacrificing a lot. And now that we've reached a point where we're comfortable, we don't have to stress as much. So I guess the kids get a better part of us because we're not a better version. We're not as stressed out. So.
But the good thing is, it's not like those 2 older ones are gone. They're not out of the house. They're here. They get to enjoy, hopefully, if we're any better for them, then they get to enjoy this version of us. They get to see both. Yeah.
But we're not lax. Like our lax attitude is maybe with like stressful things that we thought were stressful before and are not so stressful now. But discipline, good manners, all that stuff we're still very strict on. We're not lax on that at all.
No,
We're
I'll say, myself, I was younger and I was aggressive and I was jump to action and jump to everything. And I think, I don't want to admit that I've gotten soft, but with the kids, I've gotten better,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
I used to overreact way more. I probably still do, but not nearly as much, right?
Correct.
I used to explode. And by the way, those who know me, I coach men. A lot of men explode. There's probably something tied into more testosterone. You might explode a little more. More caring, you show it with an explosion, like what's going on, blah, blah, blah. I've learned a little bit that I could tone it down. That's not paying it, so it's not paying back, right? I think there's more power in saying, stop doing that, than there is in yelling it.
The kids always say that I'm scary, and I'm not the one who explodes. I'm not the one, and it's just because of that. Because I can just creep in and give them the look, and they're like, God, you give us this look. That's all it takes. It doesn't have to be loud or crazy. So.
Yeah, and it's more respect. I think they'll respect you more when you. So that took me some time to learn. We've been parents for almost 18 years, and with 4 kids, I think the other day I added up the ages, and I think it's like 54 years of kids if you add up all those ages, and we've been very active with them. So I feel all 54 of those years.
Okay, so there's a second part to that question, which is, what were the earliest ways you began to instill responsibility in your children at a young age?
Yeah, so we saw that question as our oldest came home, and we asked him, and it was really in line with what
we
we
had
did.
already had some notes down.
Yeah, just bullet points.
Yeah, and he confirmed everything without us having to even tell him what we had
Yeah,
done.
he said them as if he was reading what we put here. It was perfect. It's good that we're all on the same page.
So one of them was, we had them from the get-go pick up after themselves. There's no slaves here. Like, we all have everyone, it's a team effort. There's a lot of us in this house. I can't be the one to pick up everybody's things. And I remember always telling them, like, if something is thrown on the floor, that means you don't want it anymore. That means you found no value in it. That means you don't want it. So I would throw it in or throw it in the trash. So if there was many times where I would grab things, which I knew they still liked a lot, but it was thrown on the floor. Maybe I had asked them once or twice to pick it up. They hadn't done it. I would pick it up and put it in the trash. Leave the trash open so they could see it. Like, have it stick out so they can see it. And they pass by and they panic. What is this doing in the trash? So, you threw it on the floor. You must not want it anymore. Because if it's on the floor, it's not that important to you. They'll take it out of the trash, they'll clean it and put it away. No, I don't want to throw this away. Okay, well then take care of your stuff. So that's kind of how, they knew from the get-go. They had to pick up their stuff. And if they wanted to go somewhere or do something, is your room picked up? Is this picked up? Is it not? Sorry, you can't go.
And that's how you instill that sense of ownership and that sense of reality with consequences. You can't just keep picking it up for them. We picked up for our kids when they were probably 4 and younger. Mm-hmm. Once you get to a certain age, it's on you. You got to learn to do these things. And guess what? Ultimately, we don't want to be working all day. We don't want to be cleaning all day. We don't want to do that. So that goes hand in hand with creating good kids, creating good adults. We don't want to do it. You made the mess. You pick it up. I've heard of parents. I understand when they're little, yes, you got to do everything for them. But I've heard of parents having a mess in their house and their kids are a little older now and they're picking it up. Absolutely not. Like she said, nobody's a slave in this house, especially not us. We're not slaves.
Another thing that we were going through for a little while in the beginning with our older ones, lunch boxes. I prepare their lunch in the morning. I have no problem doing that.
Till this day. They're in high school. She's still, we both sometimes do it, but she does it mostly.
I like doing that. And whether they eat the lunch or not, that's a different story because we have all healthy stuff here. They might change at school, whatever. I have a clean mind knowing that I'm sending them with good stuff. A lot of the times I put all this heart into this lunchbox and then they leave to school.
You might even write them a little notes.
I leave them notes and stuff and they forget their lunchbox. And I'm like, oh. And I get the phone call. Mom, I left my lunchbox. What do you want me to do about that? Oh, can you bring it to me? Why did you leave your lunchbox? No, didn't I tell you to pack your lunchbox and put it in your backpack? Yeah, but at that time, and they come up with some excuse. I'm like, sorry, buddy. So either they come home starving, they ask a friend for food, they use their money to buy lunch, they tough it up.
They figure it out.
They figure it out.
Now, the part and I've admitted some stuff here, and the part she did not admit is that she wants to drive it over.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't at all. I want them to suffer. That's how you learn.
Especially they put so much time into that lunchbox. Yes.
They'll eat it for dinner. They'll eat it the next day. It's not going to go bad. We put it in the fridge. I want them to learn. And what builds character and what teaches more than a little pain, right? And
They're not gonna die.
they're not going to die. I've fasted for 3 days straight. I didn't die. I drank water. We're not asking them to do that. They're going to figure it out. When you put someone in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation, they got to work. And when do you want them to figure this out? When they're 40 or when they're 15, right? Same thing goes. Now, mind you, kindergarten, first grade, second grade,
Right,
we wouldn't
right,
do that.
of course.
Probably third grade, we still wouldn't do it, right? It's as they get older where we go, you got to figure it out. Borrow, beg, steal from your friends. They'll give you a half of their sandwich. They'll give you some between a few friends, but you figured it out. You know, it's the opposite of sitting in front of a television and being dumb and entertained for a 30-minute episode where they show you the beginning of the story, they present a problem, and they solve it for you. All you had to do was sit here. That ruins your brain. It keeps you from developing. They're the protagonist in this show of their life, and they got a problem, and they got to figure it out. I'd rather they figure out how to get food at school than get an A on a test. She cares about scores maybe. I don't care about test scores. I care about them hustling and figuring it out. If they come home and tell me they got an A, I celebrate them. Not the grade, but the effort. But then if they tell me, oh, and I sold some chocolates at school today, I made $12. Yeah, that I go crazy for. So I like the real life stuff as opposed to the other part. What else?
We've had a few instances where they miss the bus. Not the little ones, the older ones. And we see them in the morning just moping around, kind of like, oh, I have time. And they run to the bus. You know, they sprint at the end because they see they don't have time. And they get there and the bus is gone. Mom, I missed the bus. You have a bike. Luckily, we live 4 miles.
4 miles.
From the high school.
A bike, that's nothing. You get there in 2 minutes.
So take your bike. No, but my backpack is heavy. Don't miss the bus.
You got a bus. Take the bus.
Yeah.
Get up earlier. You know, whenever people are late and they blame it on traffic, but they do it more than once, I mean, you shouldn't be late at all. But especially now with the technology, it tells you how long it's going to take. You wake up and check the traffic.
It even tells you when you should leave.
Yeah.
You get alerts.
So wake up earlier. There's no excuse to be late. Just get up earlier. So we push that. And guess what? When I let Miss Nice Guy over here give in to all these things, it never got better. As soon as I said, they got to learn, stop doing this, guess what? They don't forget their lunch. They don't forget their uniform for after school.
They don't miss the bus.
They don't miss the bus. That's what it takes, but I want them to learn it now, not later in life when you can lose your job. Not later in life when you really let down your spouse. Not when it counts, not when it's big. Lose now little tiny victories that are going to teach you later. What else? We've got chores, right?
Yeah,
so
it's a way to instill responsibility.
Yeah, so our 9-year-old, he has to take out the garbage and the recycle, and he has to wrap up the bag and take it out to the tank on the side of the house. And they has to put a new bag. And on those days where it's garbage recycle, he has to roll it out and put it out and then bring it back in. But if I have to, he gets $4 for that every single week. And he's happy with that. I'm going to pay as little as I can, as long as he takes it. And he does that. But here's the thing. If I have to reprimand him and say, I've told you, first of all, you should know the day that you got to take it out. But if I have to keep telling you, I'm not paying you. You still got to do it. You're going to do the job no matter what. But if you want to earn the money, don't make me keep telling you. Just go and do it. So many weeks we haven't paid. But, you know, that's what he's got to do. It's still his chore. And they all have their different chores. Does that cover everything?
I think that's
all right. So we tackled 4 of many, many questions, and we'll be happy to take your questions. My website is joelgandara.com. That's my coaching site. It's the easiest way to get a hold of me. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. But you can contact me through any of those, and I will personally read your email if you have a question. We can add it to here. Mm-hmm. And if you guys like this, if people watch this, if one person watches it and tells us that they're benefiting from it, would you keep doing it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're into helping, and we want people to get the best out of it. If someone wants to get a hold of you, she's on Facebook, she's on Instagram.
You can write him and say, tell Jessica, and then it'll be released.
That's fair. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. That was part 1. We'll make more.
Bye. Thank you.